which will be led by Elder Emil Orencia, followed by the national anthem and RC Makati hymn and recitation of the four-way test.
I do not have a prepared prayer because in our belief, we prepare what's in our heart. Our kind Heavenly Father, we gather here today, united, common purpose, to serve thy sons and daughters. We are grateful for this momentous event to witness the MOA signing of the Marikina Watershed Reforestation and Livelihood Project. We are indeed grateful for those persons behind this project, for touching their hearts and minds. We are grateful and privileged for this opportunity to collaborate Rotary Club of Makati, Rotary Club
Prayer muna.
Makati Epsobel,
Hindi ko kaya.
RC Makati Buendia, RC Makati Dasmariñas, RC Makati Central, RC Las Piñas, Philippine Bamboo Foundation, PBIDC, and DNR.
Hindi, totoo siya.
We would like to humbly ask as we proceed with this program,
May dalang pagkain, hindi makapasok kasi.
that we may be able to
Minto siya.
join hand in hand in order that we can move this project and be successful.
Ngayon, para malaki.
We are grateful
Hindi pa
for
naman dati niya.
an inspiration that was bestowed upon us. And may thou bless all participants
Baka ibang ano yan. Baka ibang RT.
as they implement and run this project,
Lagi binibigay sa akin yung prayer.
that they may be blessed with inspiration, ideas,
Yan.
that their efforts will turn to good result.
Pakaalis eh.
This is our humble prayer in the name of in the sacred name of our Redeemer, even our Savior Jesus Christ. Amen.
Yun, nakakada siya. Yun, nakakada siya. Dalawa yung pagkain niya. oh.
Tapos yung kapatid niya na ipapagod.
Witness a history in our lifetime as we bring back to life what a true Rotarian should be. Service above self, unity in diversity, and inclusivity, all for one and one for all. This is our chance. This is our time to rise up and be the example of what humanity can achieve. Together, let's create hope in the world. So let us sing with one voice the Philippine National Anthem.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Kayang magiliw, telas ng sinananan, alam ng puso, sa dikit mo'y buhay. Upang hinirang, tuyag ka ng magiting, sa manlulupin, di ka pasisingil, sa gaganang putok, sa simoy at sa langit mong bangaw, ay hinagang tula, kawin sa pagkayang minamahal, ang isang ng patawad mo'y tagumpay na nag-iimig, ang bituin at araw niya kailan ang may di magdidinig, lumalang araw ng walhaging pagsinta, buhay langit sa piling mo, ang hindi kaya serve humanity, always living by the four-way test, building goodwill and peace along the way, giving hope to the world. We're the Rotary Club of Makati, prepared to aid our fellow men, as true Rotarians we live to lead. We believe in service above self, and this is why we succeed. We're the Rotary Club of Makati, and together we stand proud. We are leaders with integrity, always ready to serve humanity, always living by the four-way test, building goodwill and peace along the way, giving hope to the world. We're the Rotary Club of Makati, giving hope to the world. The Rotary Club of Makati.
All right, to our visitors, please sit down. To our fellow Rotarians, please remain standing for the recitation of the four-way test. Please repeat after me. The four-way test of the things we think, say, or do. First, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? Fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned? All right, thank you, fellow Rotarians. You may now take your seats and enjoy the sumptuous food prepared for us by Escolta. Now let's go to the acknowledgement of guests and visiting Rotarians. We have starting with the dignitaries. We have, of course, our very own PDG Tony Kila. Yay! PDG Joji Tan. Hey. We also have guests as follows. Mr. Sunny Pulgar, guest of Director Force Peña. I suppose Director Force will propose him to be a member soon. We also have Boots Revita, sister of Rotarian Martin Revita. Catherine Jose of the Daily Tribune. And our guest from the DENR, the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, Mr. Fabian Canales. And Forest Technician Jennifer Cruz. Guests from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, Kenneth Lee, Country Director. Rison Domingo, Stake President, Montalban Stake. Oprecio Corpus, Stake President, Marikina Stake. And Elder Emil Orencia and spouse Lilibet of wheelchair technical specialist. We also have the second Marikina Watershed Reforestation Team as follows. EP Emilito Castro, RC Makati Buendia. EP Carlo Jose David, RC HB de la Costa. PP Sok Tatud, RC Las Piñas. PP Rene Madarang, RC Quezon City Circle. PP Edgar Manda, RC Makati Central. USEC Geogracia Victor Sabiliano, Department of Agriculture. And RC Quezon City Circle President. Also guests from other clubs as follows: President F. Jan de la Cruz and Club Secretary Rowena de la Cruz from RC Makati Buendia. And finally, President Rafael Hernandez, RC Las Piñas. And of course, our guest speaker for this afternoon will be properly introduced later, Jonathan Ravelas, CTA. Now let's go to the singing of the welcome song. PP Junjun Dairit has kindly accepted the request to sing the welcome song. Yes, every RC Makati Rotarians, please all stand for the singing of the welcome song. To be led by PP Junjun Dairit. Oh, done.
Friends of friends, be green. Friends of friends, be green. So build a cheer. Regards from all the fellas here. And when once more you are near our door, come again, our friends, come again.
Right, thank you, fellow Rotarians. Welcome to everyone. Let's now proceed to greetings to birthday and wedding anniversary celebrators or celebrants. We have Rotarian Andrew Escaler, January 20. Rotary and Gina Tan, January 22. And for the wedding anniversaries, we have PP Fred and Melly Parungaw, January 16. PP Roland and Kaling Yang, also January 16. Judge Cesar and Baby Cruz, January 18. Marcy and Twinkle Marcelo, January 22. And Mike and Connie Toledo, January 22. Happy birthday and happy wedding anniversary to everyone. PP Junjun, another one, please.
Yeah. We don't have our pianist here. So, and our regular singer, PP Louie, backed out because giving the excuse that his voice is not up to par this afternoon. So anyway, we greet our birthday and wedding anniversary celebrants. It is your birthday and wedding day. Let's celebrate this important day. We greet you deep in our hearts still. A happy birthday and happy birthday.
Thank you, PP Junjun. Walang kupas. Okay, before we move on, I'd like to just announce that there will be a raffle at the end of or after the adjournment. The club will be giving away 2 gift certificates Lunch buffet for two at Escolta at the Peninsula, Manila. Di kasama tong lunch today. Okay. All right. The next part of our program is announcement of club functions and committee, other committee announcements. Anyone who has announcements? Sir Louis, VP Louis.
Oh, this is an impromptu announcement. Actually, last week, during last week's meeting, our president already announced this. We have a fundraising activity in conjunction with the Rotary Club of Makati Premier District and our impresarios here, the brains behind this Best of Broadway in the Classics, past president Eddie Yap. This will be on the 2nd of February. And the concert will start at 7, but we will have cocktails at 6 p.m. Tickets are really going out fast. In fact, it's a good thing that we in the Rotary Club of Makati have already reserved our seats and have already remitted our payments. So those of you still interested in watching this classic concert, you can approach our secretariat led by Angie Tomas. And then also for the fund run, which is under the auspices of Rotary Homes, we will be deferring the scheduled fund run and bike run, which was originally scheduled on February 11. It will be sometime in March as soon as we are able to confirm the availability of the venue in March. We will announce it accordingly. Thank you very much.
Thank you, VP Louis. Any other announcements before we move on? Okay. Now for the presentation of Paul Harris Fellows, we have Mr. Paul Harris himself, Gov. Tony Kila.
We are supposed to recognize, I think, three. Junjun Dairit, past President Junjun, has already been recognized earlier, but his name is put here to remind him that one more Paul Harris to become a major donor. That's your reminder. Now may I call on past President Rene Lemhuoko to get the pin of his apo, the first Paul Harris. Can President Bin Matoto? Eddie Yap. Can I call also on Eddie Yap for his eight Paul Harris Fellow? And this kay Eddie. So, isa pa, President Eddie. Vice President Junjun, maybe you can like to be here. Para Richard, then si Vice President Junjun, para silang tatlo. Nauna na yung pin kasi ni Vice President Junjun na naibigay. Oo. Then Bing, si Vice President Junjun. Nauna yung pin niya na ibigay. Ibigay ka agad ni Ria.
Right. Thank you, President Bing. We proceed immediately to the presentation of inductees by also PDG Tony Kila.
So Chris, I'd like to call our newest member, also one of the youngest in our club, Jose Martin Revita. Sponsored, proposed by President Bing Matoto. His classification is metal fabricator. And can I ask his sister Boots, if you can join us here? Okay. May I call on Past President Junjun Terit for the charging? I must ask him Boots.
This is not yet the swearing in, but may I ask everyone to, because of the solemnity of the occasion, can you please rise? Thank you. Martin, your nickname is JJ, right? We have something in common. You're JJ, I am Junjun. Martin, you are joining a very prestigious organization, the Rotary Club of Makati. I'm sure that in the orientation, past District Governor Tony has told you about the history of the club and all of its achievements. So therefore, joining this club is a great responsibility for you to be able to contribute to making this organization even more prestigious. There are certain responsibilities which are expected of you. First of all, you have to pay your dues on time. Number two, attend the meetings and fellowships. Get to know your fellow club members. That's very important. No? Immerse yourself in the club's projects. So we have so many projects. You can choose from any of one of them where you think you can contribute the most. Contribute to the Rotary Foundation, TRF. Right now, you saw the picture taking of the people who have contributed. So please contribute because 3 years after you contribute, about half of that amount that you contribute comes back to our district for our global grants, which we can use for a lot of the projects that we have. Number four, then the four-way test. No, please imbibe it and practice it. And when you are called, please answer the call to service and leadership in the club if you are called to do so. And finally, share your talents. All of these things that I mentioned to you are summarized in the lyrics of our club song, which was sung at the beginning of the meeting. So if you memorize the lyrics of that song, of our club song, all of these things that I told you are contained in the lyrics so that you will never forget. You are contributing to lowering the average age of this club. At 28 years old, that is really bringing our average age down. Between the two of us, you're 28, I'm, 72 this year. The average age goes down to 50. So you're joining our club really is a big deal. And it actually lines up with your family name. Your family name is Revita. By joining our club, you are revitalizing the club. Because youth is life and youth is energy. And that is what our club needs. So are you willing to do all of these things that I have mentioned to you? Say it out loud.
Yes, sir.
President Bing, your nephew is ready to be inducted.
I, Jose Martin Revita,
After being sworn in
after being sworn in
as a member of the Rotary Club of Makati,
as a member of the Rotary Club of Makati,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will abide by,
that I will abide by,
follow, and uphold
follow, and uphold
all the provisions of the Constitution
all the provisions of the Constitution
and bylaws of Rotary International,
and bylaws of Rotary International
as well as those of my Rotary Club,
and those of my Rotary Club,
and fulfill to the best of my ability
and fulfill to the best of my ability
all the duties and responsibilities
all the duties and responsibilities
of my membership.
of my membership.
I pledge to advance the object of Rotary
I pledge to advance the object of Rotary
and to exemplify Rotary's maxim,
and to exemplify Rotary's maxim,
service above self.
service above self.
I further swear
I further swear
to promote awareness
to promote awareness
of the theme of Rotary International in 2023-2024, to promote the awareness of the theme of Rotary International
of the theme of Rotary International
in 2023,
in 2023
2024,
and 2024,
which is create hope
is-
in the world,
which is create hope in the world,
and of the duties and responsibility
and of the duties and responsibility
that go with it.
that go with it.
All these,
All these
I pledge freely and voluntarily,
I pledge freely and voluntarily,
without any mental reservation
without mental reservation
or purpose of evasion.
or purpose of evasion.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Welcome to our club, JJ.
All right, thank you, VP Junjun, President Bing, and welcome to the club and congratulations to our new member, Jose Martin M. Revita, who will revitalize our club.
Hi. Are you okay? Have you spoken to? Hey,
While my fellow Rotarians are signing their names on the apron of Martin, may I request the participants for the signing of MOA to prepare. Move to the Okay, for having introduced and sponsored Martin to be our youngest Rotarian, a bottle of Macallan will be given to President Bing Matoto by PDG Tony Kila. All right, thank you again, President Bing, for bringing in a new blood in our club. Now, before going to the President's time, we'll have first the signing of MOA for the Marikina Watershed Project. We are about to witness the signing of the Memorandum of Agreement for our joint initiative, the Marikina Watershed Reforestation Project. Allow me to introduce the esteemed individuals who will be signing the MOA today. First, we have PDG Georgie Tan of RC Makati, Dasmariñas, the convener and chair emeritus of the Marikina Watershed Reforestation Project. Joining her is Mr. George Kenneth Lee, the country director of the Church of Latter-day Saints. All right. Hey. Yes, ma'am. Before we move further, maybe we can have PDG Georgie Tan to say a short message.
Thank you. During the life-changing Rotary year in 2021, 3 years ago, our district piloted a reforestation and livelihood grant for the Marikina watershed site, consisting of a total of 26,000 hectares, covering 5 municipalities in Rizal. It is situated at the foot of the Sierra Madre mountain range, and because of its strategic location, it serves as a catch basin for water cascading from the mountain to the waterways of the 5 municipalities, all the way to the Pasig River, Marikina River, and Laguna de Bay. Because it is situated between the mountain range and the metropolis, it protects the metropolitan areas from flooding. The watershed is also home to the Wawa Dam, that has a capacity of 500 million liters of water per day, enough to meet the water needs of 500,000 homes. Now, initiated by District 3830, the program was participated in by 31 Rotary clubs of our district, which pooled resources and their district grants to underwrite the project. It was a partnership with the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, DENR, the Philippine Bamboo Foundation Incorporated, PBFI, and the Samahang Kawayan ng Karugo Agri-Farmers Association. Pursuant to the Memorandum of Agreement signed by the partners last February 16, 2022, District 3830 and its 31 participating clubs funded the reforestation project and its accompanying livelihood component in the amount of 1.5 million pesos. The DNR provided 20-hectare project site, while the Philippine Bamboo Foundation provided technological and technical support to the project. The Farmers Association, on the other hand, under the strict supervision and monitoring of our team, was responsible for the implementation of the project while rendering subsequent care and maintenance of the plantation until its maturity, which is a 5-year commitment on our part. The reforestation project involved the planting of 4,100 bamboo on the 20-hectare project site in Barangay Carugo, San Rafael, Rizal, and a site identified and provided by the DNR. The reforestation was undertaken in 2 phases, phase 1 nursery phase, phase 2 replantation to the denuded sites in the boondocks. The reforestation project is a multi-year legacy project for the life-changing team who are committed to seeing this project through under the able leadership of past President Emil Castro of the Rotary Club of Makati, Bandia. Our project was awarded by the DNR last year as an outstanding private-public environmental project in terms of its ability to actually monitor and sustain the bamboo's life through the supervision of our project monitoring team led by life-changing President Carlo David of CJ David of RC Makati, HB De La Costa, stand up CJ, and past President Sok Katud of Las Piñas Rotary Club, stand up Sok. Pumapanig po yan ng bundok every month. Yes. Now, both CJ and SOC oversee the regular counting and replanting of the 1,400 bamboo plants in the sites through their regular monthly visits. Now, we know how many of them actually are alive today, how many need to be weeded, how many need to be fertilized, and how many were lost, and we replaced the lost bamboo. Our vision was to be able to entice funders to adopt other denuded areas. This dream has taken root. The Rotary Club of Makati F. Zobel, led by President Alex Lopez, played a key role in this. Charter and life-changing President Lucille Lopez shared the project with their member, Rotarian Emil Orencia, who is an elder of the Church of Jesus Christ of the Latter-day Saints, and who helped us present the project to the Latter-day Saint Charities Philippines Incorporated, represented here today by Country Director Mr. Kenneth Lee. We are all excited to adopt another 30 hectares and they're excited to immerse their churchmates in the project as well. Which brings us to this day. Our team is set to roll out the second reforestation and livelihood project, a 2 million peso grant. The project will plant over 400 bamboo again in the 30-hectare DNR assigned area of the Marikina watershed and create livelihood opportunities for our people's organization, which we formed, the Samahang Kawayan ng Carugo Agri-Farmers Association, through the partnership with the Provincial Environment and Natural Resources team, headed by Penro Rizal Ramil Limpiada, represented today by Forest Ranger Fabian Canales. Please stand. Forest Technician 1, Jennifer Cruz, who, by the way, is from the area. She's a Dumagat. And so together with past President Ed Manda of Makati Central, please rise. He heads the Philippine Bamboo Foundation and was crying all about bamboo way before I was born. He's our technical partner, and the Philippine Bamboo Industry Development Council is led by Executive Director Butch Madarang. Where are you, Butch? There you are. He is the environmental chair from District 3780 who shared this this project and this importance of bamboo with our district when I was governor. And with him today is Yusek D.V. Savellano of the Department of Agriculture, also the president of RC Quezon City Circle, District 3780, who is going to support, his office is going to support all our efforts. Our Rotary partners, aside from RC Makati F. Zobel, led by President Alex, will be the lead club for implementation. RC Makati, Rotary Club of Makati, led by President Senen Matoto, shall maintain the bank account for the project and disburse the funds to the Rotary Club of Makati F. Zobel. Let's give a big hand to the role of the Rotary Club of Makati in this endeavor. Thank you for accepting to be a project partner. We also have with us participating implementers, Rotary Club of Makati Dasmariñas, led by President Joe Sarmiento Veloso. Please stand, Joe. And the Rotary Club of Makati Buendia, led by President John de la Cruz. Please stand. Thank you, John. The Rotary Club of Las Piñas, led by President Rafael Hernandez. Thank you. And finally, the Rotary Club of Makati Central, led by President Chris Chong. Are you here, Chris? And so now, let us seal this life-changing deal through the kind hosting of the Rotary Club of Makati, Dasmariñas, and Makati F. Zobel, of the Smile Pilipinas Development Foundation, and CEMEX, who sponsored this momentous event. Thank you.
All right, thank you, PDG Joji Tan. Now, the table for the signing is set up at the back. As I call your name, please proceed. Joining PDG Joji Tan in the signing are as follows: Mr. George Kenneth Lee, the Country Director of the Church of Latter-day Saint Charities Pilipinas or Philippines, and PP Ed Manda of RC Makati Central, who serves as the Executive Director of the Philippine Bamboo Foundation, Inc. Also joining the signing are representatives of the clubs as follows: President Bing Matoto of RC Makati, President Alex Lopez of RC Makati F. Zobel, President Joe Sarmiento for RC Makati Dasmariñas, President John de la Cruz for RC Makati Buendia, and President Rafi Hernandez for RC Las Piñas. Okay. Also joining the signing are President of RC Marikina, President of Church of Jesus of the Church of Latter-day Saint Charities Philippines, Miss Domingo, and President of Presio Corpus. And PBIBC. Sorry po, wala po dito sa listahan ko. Thank you. Okay, as they sign the memorandum of agreement, let us take a moment to understand the significance of this initiative, which I personally believe to be a very good project. The MOA they are signing today will cover the reforestation of the Marikina watershed through the planting of 4,100 bamboos, as also mentioned by PDG Joji earlier, on a 20-hectare watershed area. The Church of Latter-day Saints has generously supported this project with a 2 million donation over a 2-year period. The Philippine Bamboo Foundation, Inc. will be the implementing partner, providing support from growing the nursery to the management of the bamboos during the 4 to 5 years growing period. RC Makati F. Zobel will lead the project as the lead club with overall responsibility, while RC Makati will handle the finances and have custody of the funds. The other participating clubs will be involved in the planning, implementation, and monitoring of the project. Just a reminder, there will be a raffle after the adjournment. 2 gift certificates will be given away for lunch buffet for 2 at the Escolta at the Peninsula. Okay, thank you again to all the organizations involved in this worthy and noble project that will undoubtedly have a positive impact on our environment.
Gary, ayun na akong So after this, the president will have their president's time. Then go to the Okay na daw.
All right, perhaps we can move on. Let's just wait for for the presidents of the three clubs to go back to their seats. Congratulations again for this noble project. Okay, let's go to the president's time. Maybe we can request our presidents to keep it short because so that we can still have ample time for the speaker to deliver his piece and for the Q&A. So starting with TGP Bing Matoto, followed by TGP Joe Sarmiento and TGP Alex Lopez.
Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians. Thank you very much for your attention. Today is a momentous occasion for our Marikina Watershed Reforestation Project as we finalize the memorandum of agreement with our partner organization. This collaboration will empower us to plant 4,100 bamboo trees across 20 hectares of watershed area, aligning with Rotary's latest area of focus on environmental protection. I extend my deepest gratitude to the Church of the Latter-day Saints for their generous donation and to the Philippine Bamboo Foundation for their invaluable partnership in this endeavor. I also want to recognize the dedication of our fellow Rotarians from RC Makati, Sobel, RC Makati Dasmariñas, RC Makati Buendia, and RC Las Piñas for their unwavering support in this noble cause. Moving on, I would like to express my appreciation to PDG Peps Bengson, P. Keith Harrison, and Philip Mayali for the participation in the second leg of the Golf Cup at Summit Point in Lipa last Friday. Special congrats to P. Keith for earning the most accurate award in this cup. While our team has already secured a spot in the Tournament of Champions, I encourage all of our golf enthusiasts to continue participating not only for practice, but also to strengthen the bond within our district's golfing community. On another note, I invite everyone to mark their calendars for January 26 as we host Meet the Startups at 4 p.m. at the Paing Echanova Creativity Center in our RC Makati Clubhouse. This event, in partnership with Startup Village under our Hatch program, will provide us with the opportunity to engage with aspiring entrepreneurs. We aim to offer mentorship and potential investment opportunities to support their innovative ventures. And following this, we will have our Friday Night Lights sponsored by our December and January celebrants. I encourage everyone to join us for this two-in-one event and show our support for our members. Maraming salamat.
All right, TGP Joe, thank you, President Bing.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I am proud that my club, the Rotary Club of Makati Dasmariñas is actively taking part in Marikina Watershed Reforestation Program under the leadership of a member, Pacific Governor Joji Tan, where we organize an eco tour of our members, Rotaractors, and Rotarian friends to raise awareness and involvement in the project and to promote the importance of environmental practices like the planting of bamboo in partnership with the Marikina Watershed Team and the farmers organization called Sakapa. I myself took part in the visit to Barangay Carugo, learned how to plant bamboo, and interacted with the farmers to be able to take in the significance of this project. And that visit has won me over to this initiative. Our club has actively promoted the project in our social media. We are excited to see this project reach greater heights and consider ourselves fortunate to be able to join this collaborative effort and to create impact in reforesting the Marikina watershed. Congratulations to the team and thank you to our funder, the Latter-day Saints Charities Philippines, on behalf of our club. Thank you.
Thank you, TGP Joe. Now let's have TGP Alex Lopez.
Good afternoon. I am TGP Alex of the Rotary Club of Makati Ebsebel. With me now are our officers from the Rotary Club Makati Ebsebel. Our charter president, A.G. Lucy Lopez, who is also this project's finance solicitor and coordinator. And also our club service project chair, Mr. Elder Emil Orencia. And also we have here our PE, Ms. Mary Jane Gurley. Now halfway into this term as TGP President, my club and I are truly honored having been invited to be part of this joint meeting of two of our district's prestigious clubs, RC Makati and RC Dasmariñas. Today, we had witnessed the momentous signing of the Memorandum of Agreement for the part two of this wonderful project. And we are delighted about focusing on this initiative as the protection and care of our environment is a major concern and part of our club's mission towards 2030. As a matter of fact, we had already planted about 5,000 mangroves in Noveleta and in Cavite City. We are also indulged in urban and eco gardening. We are grateful to PDG Dr. Joji Tan, the project's concept convener and proponent, who initiated this effort during her term as life-changing governor. Thank you, Gov. Joji. Incidentally, 2021 is also the birth of our club, the Rotary Club Makati Ebsebel. And of course, we are especially grateful to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints for accepting to fund this wonderful project. To all the officers and members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, salamat po sa inyong tiwala po and for the confidence po. Salamat po. Thank you po. As for the remaining 6 months of this Rotary year, our club commits to continue what we have started, including the following. This includes a few of our projects. Number one, we have this so-called project, Walk for Life, Rotary Club of Makati Ebsebel's mobility project. We are in partnership with the Latter-day Saints and we are distributing nationwide mobility items such as wheelchairs and crutches and the likes. Thank you, Latter-day Saints, for this. Thank you, Elder Emil Orencia. Also in the pipeline, with regard to mobility project, is the Palawan Mobility Project, where we target to distribute about 300 wheelchairs and likewise, plus the 300 more requests already submitted to us by different Rotary clubs and organizations. Short lang naman to. Big. Number two, we also have the project, we also have the Global Grant Love Thy Eyes, free cataract removal. We are glad to inform you that we already received yesterday funding for our said global grant in the amount of $51,000 US. This project was approved during MIP term and will soon be ready for implementation and turnover to Guillermo de Venecia Eye Center in San Fabian, Pangasinan next month. With regard to healthcare, which is also another mission of our club towards 2030, for this year, since we started in July 1, our club has already conducted 8 medical missions, which has served around 6,000 beneficiaries who avail of services such as ear, nose, throat, dental, vision screening, mobility assessment, and cervical screening, and those which are being provided by our partner, the Philippine Red Cross Head Office. Thank you, RC Makati and CM Bing Matoto for donating 150 prescription glasses to students of San Pedro Laguna last September 30 in San Pedro Laguna. Salamat po, RC Makati. You are such a generous partner po talaga. Salamat po. And also, thank you for the donation of 500 books during the Payanig sa Campo Santo National Children's Day in Manila South Cemetery, attended by 44 other clubs from 8:30. Of course, thank you, COS Ron, the Great Dotaro, for always assisting us. Salamat po, Mr. Ron Dotaro. Apart from our club's initiatives, we have also co-hosted various medical missions, providing services being usually offered by our club. Recently, we had received another 5 requests for medical missions in collaboration with Red Cross. Number 4, there are just 6 projects which we are promoting actually. With regard to effort to promote end polio, last October 24, 2023, we launched at the Manila South Cemetery the mural painting and polio project. This involves painting the 36 wall panels of said facility along South Avenue in Barangay Santa Cruz, Makati. To date, we already managed to accomplish 2 panels in collaboration with the UST College of Architecture, Department of Paints, Boys and Philippines, United Architects of the Philippines, and the City Government of Makati and Manila. This project would extend probably to the next Rotary year or years to come until all the 36 panels will be covered with mural paintings. And last 2, we also have in our club, we are promoting the urban gardening in Sembo, Taguig City. No, sir, the last page. This is a 1.1 million project funded by our major donor, the Latter-day Saints, and will be relaunched this coming 3rd week of February. And lastly, we are glad to announce that the Rotary Club of Makati, EPSOBEL, will be launching together with the original convener of Marikina Watershed, the Marikina Watershed Part 3, which we will be funding through a post-Valentine street party for a cause in Poblacion this coming February 16. So we hope you can support our street party this February 16. Again, thank you to all your dedication and commitment to environmental collaboration. Together, we can make a lasting impact for a green and sustainable future. Salamat po. Thank you po.
All right, thank you, TGP Alex Lopez. Now to very quickly introduce our guest speaker. Please welcome PP Louis Asioche.
We owe our guest speaker a rather extensive introduction, but I'm going to keep it short and sweet. Our speaker is currently the senior advisor at the Reyes Tacandong and Company. He is a prominent private analyst in the Philippines, and because of his extensive experience of the country's economic landscape, he is highly sought as a speaker and a commentator in the Philippine media, not to mention being a regular staple of business channels in the country, such as the ANC. He concurrently serves as managing director at E-Management for Business and Marketing Services, or EMBM, and independent director at DITO CME. Jonas, as he is fondly called, brings more than 25 years of experience in financial markets. Prior to his current positions, Jonas held the role of FVP Chief Market Strategist at BDO Unibank from 2002 to June 2022, where he provided valuable analysis on financial markets and macroeconomic developments both locally and internationally. He previously held the same position at the Equitable PCI Bank's Treasury Department from 1998 to 2022. Jonas has worn many hats. He has worked as a strategist, an analyst, an equities dealer, and portfolio manager in both money management and institutional equity brokerage, including stints at the DPS Securities and ACE Securities. He is an economic Nostradamus. As a testament to his forecasting abilities, Focus Economics ranked him as the #2 overall forecaster for the Philippines in 2021 and the #1 Forex forecaster in 2018. In 2016, he was ranked as the #1 current account forecaster for the Philippines in 2015. He is also, mind you, a political Nostradamus. As we were having a quick chat earlier, he has accurately predicted the victory of the present dispensation in December of 2021, having coined the catchphrase BBM2 or Babangon Muli. Mr. Ravelas regularly contributes economic commentaries to prestigious publications such as the Asian Wall Street Journal and is a frequent commentator in economic and financial markets at the ANC, Bloomberg, and CNN. He is a LASALite, having held a bachelor's degree in management of financial institutions from the De La Salle University. But our Ateneans in this club will be happy to note the balance that Jonas brings because he is actively involved in the academe as a lecturer at the Ateneo's BAP's Treasury Certification Program and as Executive Director of the Society of Technical Analysts Philippines. He has furthered his education by completing the Asian Securities Executive Program, the Asian Institute of Management in 1996. He is 51 summers young, and Mr. Ravelas warms up to the success mantra, fortune favors the brave. And it is the club's fortune as well to have him as our guest speaker for today, Mr. Jonathan Ravelas. Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. So eventually the title of my presentation is Navigating Uncertainty with Resilience. So basically when everyone talks about economic briefing, they all keep you just giving you the numbers. So while it's being set up, I'm already giving you the first 3 slides are the most important. So this is just talking about cautious optimism. So earlier, there was a mention of BBM. So in June 30, 2022, I actually did my last economic briefing. The key summary of that briefing was 3 letters and 1 number, BBM2. Babagsak muna bago babangon muli. So it actually highlighted the impact of the Philippine economy coming from a crisis. Okay? So the question is, when do we expect the recovery? So in June 30, 2022, I didn't say any date. Okay, but today, based on what the next few slides, the recovery could come in 2025. Okay, and what will drive it? Okay, so eventually, highlighting my cautious optimism is the fact that we're already out. Okay, despite the fact that there's still challenges from the pandemic, meaning we still have, right now we talk about the triple treat, right? You have COVID, you have the flu, and the RSV, but we're still here. Diba? We've normalized. So that means it shows our resilience and we want to go back to normal. Okay, and it seems that we've adapted to these new challenges. Now, the question is, the Philippine economy being one of the major stories that we are resilient. Okay, resilient in the sense, it doesn't mean that everybody is happy. It's just that we just love the budget meal. Diba? Kung dati, pag natatandaan nyo yung hopya, dati ilan laman ng isang hopya box? 5. Diba? Ngayon, pag pumunta kayo sa egg beaten, 4 na lang. Diba? That's called shrinkflation. They keep the price, pero it becomes manageable, right? That's what
we become resilient. Kung hindi kayo makabili ng isang boteng shampoo, anong ginagawa natin? Sachet. Diba? That's being resilient. And thanks to the demographic dividend, we have that space to consume. And that's why we're one of the fastest growing economies. So that's the headline figure. Now, the risks, the nice thing about the risk is this is a repeat of 2022 and 2023. Okay? And the keyword or the key analogy is FUD, F-U-D, fear, uncertainty, doubt, and disruption. I'll add that one more. Later, I'll show you the slide that will talk about it. And then the third, which talks about purely the Philippines, is what will drive growth. So there's only one answer. What will drive growth is government spending. Wag na kayong maghanap ng ibang driver. Okay? So, bakit? The household, the firm, financial institutions, government, and the rest of the world are the primary players in any economy. If you were the household, I'll ask all of you, have you recovered from the pandemic? Very few, or I guess if you're part of the 1%, you didn't feel anything. Okay? But if you're in the middle class, you felt it, right? The firms, most likely, thanks to the adjustments of the Bayanihan Bill, very few companies have eventually gone back to 2019 earnings. And in the listed companies, only the top 3 eventually are back since last year that are back to pre-pandemic income. Okay? So that's the challenge. Now, if you were the financial institution are only just receiving and managing your money. They're good whether it's a bad economy or a good economy. The recipients of all of this. Okay? So the fourth is the rest of the world. Okay? The rest of the world will only think that I will continue to grow if there are potential stories. Okay? So of all the 5 players that I mentioned, sino yung may propensity to spend? It's only government. That's why the new finance secretary is tasked to make new taxes. Di ba? Because that's the only way for us to bring the economy forward. Okay? So next slide, please. So this is just the outlook. So in terms of the outlook, we're expected to see the Philippine economy grow from year to date, the GDP of the Philippines in 2023 for the 3 quarters was around 5.5%. I'm looking at 5.3% for the full year 2023. You have to remember that 4th quarter of 2022 was what people call revenge spending. Diba? 4th quarter of 2023 is cost catch-up. So you'll note if you probably attended economic briefings last year, in the 4th quarter, like Business World, which usually 800 to 1,000 attend, only 300 to around 500 attended. Okay? Why? Because people were cost-cutting. Diba? So, a good example, last Christmas was that people were looking for value, where to spend Christmas. Where did everybody go? Huh? Japan. Diba? The yen has depreciated close to 145. Diba? It's cheaper to go there than go to the likes of Batanes. Diba? So the challenges are there. Okay, why am I saying this? Because people right now are starting to think of survival, thrive, and grow. So people are trying to do that. So secondly, the key word is interest rates. People complain of high interest rates. I think these high interest rates will stay for a while. Now, can Philippine companies survive? The answer is yes. When I started working in the 1990s, 3-month rates were double digit. They were at 20%. 1-year rates were close to 30%. So can we afford a high single-digit interest rate? Yes. Diba? So you can afford to do that. but people forgotten we got used to low interest rates. Okay? That's why even in the domestic liquidity, they're over 1.4 trillion pesos versus pre-pandemic of around 800 billion pesos. So the peso, I think the peso will probably stay at the 55 levels, 55.50. Okay? Next slide, please. Now, when we talk about what will drive it is basically what's happening today. So this is a slide that tells you practically everything. We still have inflation. We'll still have those geopolitical tensions, demand volatility, talent availability and leadership issues, supply chain disruptions, sustainability and climate hazards, right? Fraud and corruption. And this is what people now call fragmentation. Probably in the 1990s, we loved globalization. This is, I think, something that could be triggered again in 2024. Further fragmentation if there will be Trump 2.0. So between now and November, it is a status quo for countries like Taiwan. Diba? So again, what is so common of this slide? You know, I've used this slide since 2022 because it's the same. It's the same snow leopard and we should already know how to handle this. Alam na natin to. Diba? We could have probably have alternate suppliers, assuming that the prices of our current suppliers are higher. Diba? Some people will want to do different things. Diba? And this is where you come up with your own strategies. Diba? Simple lang po ang pagninegosyo. Diba? It talks about low margins, faster turnovers, and eventually leverage. Right? So pag tinagalog po natin yan, ano po ibig sabihin niya? Maliit na patong para bumilis yung ikot, word of mouth laway. Diba? So ano po yung financial strategy? Laway, patong, ikot. Madali pong tandaan. Okay? So ganun po kadali yung negosyo. That's how to make money in 2024. Laway, patong, ikot. Okay? So the next slide talks about what's happening in the Philippine economy. Okay, so globally, green is positive, blue is negative. So, alam nyo kung ano yung importanteng kulay. Okay? So, globally, we're starting to see the US and in the Philippines, people are talking about peak rates, peak inflation, peak interest rates. They believe that we've seen the worst. Okay? So, ask yourselves, do you feel that prices have come down? Okay? Economists are telling you that if inflation last December was 3.9, it is lower compared to what happened a year ago. Punta kayo sa supermarket. June 30, 2022, you buy anything imported vegetables, the prices are lower compared to June 30, 2022. But if you buy imported vegetables, the inflation or the price differential from June 30 are around 35 to 40%. Those that are locally produced. So, doon nakikita, malaki yung problema natin pagdating sa productivity. So, we can't do that all the time that we import. Right? If we import too much, the peso will depreciate. Okay? So, the other thing is that geopolitical issues continue to rise. So this is something that could create reigniting inflation. Okay? The good thing in the Philippines is that we've seen a very drastic drop in inflation from high 6, we're now at 3.9%. Okay? If we were talk to doctors, they'll tell you that, oh, today your fasting blood sugar is closer to 100. But your HAC-B1C, it's still high. Because our average inflation for 2023 is at 6%. The target that we want to reach is 4%. So the long-term average or the full year average is still high. Core inflation, which is minus food and energy, is at 6.6%. So these are your cost of communication, restaurants and miscellaneous, education. is still at 6.4%. Mataas pa rin. Next slide. So this is a challenge. And of course, we'll add the El Nino. So here, we're seeing this potential risks. So one is what's happening in the Red Sea. So this is still connected to the Israel and Hamas. If the US continues to create noise in the Red Sea, this could eventually become a full Middle East crisis. Okay? Of course, who will benefit from all of this? The US. They sell arms. They have one of the biggest supplies of oil. Di ba? So that's why last week we saw oil move up by 4%. Okay? So this is a risk, a real risk. Next slide. And then the blue line that you see there is the general prices of crude, which is actually good. It has come down from the peak. But look at the gold line. That's the cost of shipping. It spiked last week. So the trend continues to still appear to the upside. So that gold line is what you call the Baltic Dry Index, is directly correlated to the dollar. Meaning, if there's going to be more risk off, that will rise, so will the dollar. So last week, that's why you saw the peso back to 56, was due to the attacks in the Red Sea, not because we have a new DOF secretary, but it could be a knee-jerk reaction as well. Next slide, please. So the other thing is what's happening in Thailand. So it's status quo until the next president of the United States. Okay, next slide. So of course, in the Philippines, there's a transition now. We have the finance secretary back to the DSP and eventually a new finance secretary. So upon his assumption, they mentioned about supporting growth. However, there's a paragraph there that talks about maintaining government spending. That's the problem. What will drive our Philippine economy is government spending. So if they maintain the current spending last year, pure and simple, if you moderate your eating, you don't eat carbs, diba? You become lethargic. So the government needs to spend so that the economy can grow. So that's the challenge. So sometimes that's the reason why you need to eat heavy at breakfast, eat like a king. By the time it's lunch, eat like a queen. And by the time it's evening, eat like a beggar. Di ba? Yan sinasabi ng doktor. But our economy now needs to sustain growth because we're catching up. It's okay to eat a lot of carbs. We're a growing economy. Di ba? So let's forget the numbers of debt to GDP of 60%. Okay? The last time we've seen our numbers more than 80% was in the 80s and the late 1990s during the Asian financial crisis. So that's okay. We can hack it. Next slide, please. So this is eventually where a lot of people are confused. Because right now, people are thinking, hey, interest rates have come down. Will it continue to come down? That's the issue. Next slide. So this is eventually US interest rates, which is in orange. Look, it's actually stalling compared to the blue line, which is the US interest rates. So they too have challenges. Next slide. So the Fed is stating that probably if the inflation trend continues, we will see the economy cutting rates, or the US interest rates will come down in the fourth quarter. I don't see that in the second half. So the earliest would probably be October. Next slide. Now, this is the Philippine economy, and those shaded bars are presidential elections. So I'm not trying to make a prediction. I'm just trying to be practical. Every time the Philippine economy tops, it's all driven by presidential elections. Okay? So it takes 2 to 3 years for any new administration to continue to sustain the economy if they do it right. So we will be moving to our third year in 2025. It coincides with what? The midterm elections. Diba? So they need to spend to ensure that the team will still be united. Kasi ngayon, di ba, the perception is UNI dash TY. Di ba? They're starting to show some lapses. That's the reality. So if they want to become a unity ticket, they need to make sure they get the midterm election. So they need to spend. That's the driver. Okay? So historical evidence continue to highlight that what will support the recovery is government spending. Next slide. So here is what we've seen in the third quarter. So consumption has come down from 5.5% in the second quarter to around 5%. So those are the gold bars that you see there. It's still resilient compared to probably pre-pandemic. But the question is, can we sustain above 5% consumption growth? So that's the challenge. Next slide. So if we look at other economic indicators that talk about good in the Philippine economy, the red line is Purchasing Managers Index. So it's still above 50. It's around 54. That's a good number. Okay? The second number that is gold is manufacturing capacities. At 74%, we're still short of 75%. What's so good about it is because that's the time manufacturing companies are looking for working capital. That's good for banks. But the chart to your right is a one that's dwindling. That's building permits. So it highlights the challenges of the real estate sector with high interest rates. So that is actually a sign that the economy is still slowing down. So I guess you've heard what happened in last year. There was a real estate company that was having problems, right? Okay, so let's not name them, but that is actually a sign. Both a realization that if you look at the vacancy rates and occupancy rates of 1997, 98 to today, they're almost the same. Okay? So if you look at 1998, who was our president in 1998? Erap. He was also elected to the highest office in the land. He came after the Asian financial crisis. Who did we elect in 2022? BBM. Diba? We were coming from a pandemic. Both were coming from an economic crisis. Both their vice presidents were women and daughter of presidents. In the first year of their office, their main issue was inflation. So that is a grim reminder. Plus, 5 of the cabinet members of Joseph Estrada was also in BBM's team, led by Finance Secretary Jokno and now Monetary Board member. Just to let you know. Next slide, please. So here, other indicators that support our present growth, remittances that you see here, loan growth has slowed down, trade continues to be bad, is highlighting a different side of the Philippine economy. We may have a good story from the top, fastest growth in the economy, good demographics, strong remittances coming from OFWs and BPO revenue, close to 60 billion for both BPO and remittances. But look at trade, slowing down. Look at loan growth, it's slowing down. Why? Because of the high interest rates. Okay, next slide. So here, look at inflation. Our challenge continues to be, it's still above 4%, which is the central bank's 2 to 4%. Okay, one number doesn't tell you that we're below 4% at 3.9. Diba? In geometry, we were taught it takes 2 points to determine a line. So 3.9 is just 1 point below 4. The number in November was 4.1. So we need another 1 to 2 points to ensure that we're really going below 4%. Now, the sad part about economics is that there's such thing as a baseline effect. Okay? And that seems to be about to end within the first quarter. So if those base effects are gone, inflation will continue to rise. So remember again the second slide. It talks about the issues of disruption. Next slide, please. So this is what the BSP has been saying. Please look at it and say, they never said that they're expecting a 1% cut. Okay? They're just saying that if inflation trend continues, they're open to further cuts. But we will not go ahead than the US Fed. Okay? So right now, we only have to listen to one person when there is a cut in interest rates. That is the BSP governor. The BSP governor never said of any premature cuts. So he's the guy to listen to. Next slide, please. So this is inflation. And look at what really drove inflation in the Philippines. So I've color-coded it. And look at the blue bars. That's transport. That's the major driver. So earlier, one of my slides was on the Middle East. So if that thing materializes, the escalation, that's going to trigger inflation anew. Now, there's no way for us to hedge against rising oil prices because we're purely dependent. Diba? So how do we need to look on how are we able to navigate our business assuming that materializes? Okay, next slide, please. So this is eventually my forecast on inflation, which continues to highlight that probably by February, inflation will start rising again. Okay, so this is my worry. I'm sharing it with you. Next slide, please. So these are interest rates. So you'll notice that the interest rates that you see here are from 2018 all the way down to last year. So the red and the blue are 2018 and 2022. So more or less, this is where we are. So the chances are of seeing interest rates come down that fast will take time. In the meantime, we need to be able to take the necessary jump. If we think that our business can withstand high interest rates, then take it. Okay? There's no perfect time to see the rates come down. Next slide, please. So this is eventually where interest rates are. Today, this is 5 and 10 year. Look at the one in the circle. Since start of the year, it started to rise. Despite the talks of further cuts. Subliminally, the rates are slowly rising. Next slide. So this is eventually the long-term worry of mine in terms of interest rates. We could go back to double digit for long-term rates. So levels of 2018, close to 10%. So I hope I'm wrong. Next slide, please. So this is where a lot of people ask me about the exchange rate. Why is the peso so strong? We have gross international reserves of over 100 billion. And that's keeping the stability of our currency. Okay? But it doesn't mean you have very strong GIR, the peso will remain stable. Okay? It's not that because we have so much GIR, we won't fluctuate. This is a wrong misconception of Filipinos. This is like what happened during the Asian financial crisis. We allowed the peso to be stuck in a range. Diba? Just like earlier, you talked about the bamboo. The bamboo actually sways from left to right. Dapat ganun din yung currency. Diba? Kaso tayo, gusto natin stable. Diba? So that is the challenge that our monetary authorities need to weigh on. Next slide, please. So this is also talking about the exchange rate. So next slide. So this is what I think of the peso. The risks are more on the upside if things escalate. So the risk of 57, 58 is there. Okay, next slide. So this is the stock market. The stock market is trying 7,000. Why is it that the market, despite all the good news that we're seeing in the Philippine economy, it doesn't want to take off? It's like a car na start na, pinrest na natin yung silinyador, nakataas pa yung handbrake, saka nakalagay sa park. Bakit ganon? It's because the valuations are modeled. If we look at where the top line story of the Philippines, it's all good. But when we look at from the bottom up, how people are challenged with the rising prices, consumer confidence, business confidence, foreign direct investments, parang they don't jive. We need to make sure that those things are there. If we talk about foreign direct investment, there's ease of doing business, there's ease of paying taxes, retail liberalization has been made. What do you think? Anong kulang? Just look at yourselves. Don't you see when you go to a store and they offer you a discount, kahit wala kang balak bumili, bibili ka. That's the thing we need to do to the Philippines. We need to allow people to see the Philippines in their light. Like last year, there were so many tourists that came in because the weaker peso. We were better than Thailand. Diba? Try shopping in Macau compared to shopping in Greenbelt or shopping in Mall of Asia. Diba? Painumin ka ng kape, mabango, diba? As compared to probably if you're in Macau. But why aren't investors coming to the Philippines? Value for money. Diba? Dapat yung pera ko worth the risk. Eh dito, worth the risk ba mag-travel sa Philippines? Hirap tayo sa airport. Diba? That's why we're playing catch up. So you want to incentivize investors to come to you. And the easiest way to do it for individuals, you eventually try to take medicine, right? So that's the challenge. Now, the question is, it's easy to take medicines to become thin. Diba? For a country, it's also difficult, but it's faster. Allow the peso to depreciate. Next slide, please. So this is just sharing with you the my forecast of a bear scenario. So I have the good, the bad, the ugly. So what I'm sharing with you is basically the baseline at the start. This is what I think if things get worse. So at least you know. Okay? Next slide. So this is one thing that it's so difficult. Blue line is business confidence and the gold line is consumer confidence. So this is just highlighting the difference of top line story of the Philippines relative to bottom line. So this is the reason why we have a very lethargic business environment. Next slide. So for individuals, next slide, please. So let me end this by how do you navigate an uncertain landscape? So government on this on the left side continues to highlight of what to do. So they've been doing this right to fight inflation and uncertainty. But the challenge is not just for government that they're able to do foreign exchange management, infrastructure spending. There is trade and economic diversification. Ito yung hindi pa natin nagagawa. Try to think of your business to source your products locally, your raw mats locally. So that is actually part of the private sector. Digital transformation, use online, supply chain organizations, optimization through various channels, and eventually try to do energy efficiency and social listening, meaning how do you connect to your customers? So that's the key line. But we have a good story for the Philippines, and the next slide, which is my last, is just telling you why things are so good for the Philippines. So next slide, please. So this is just highlighting the balance, the budget, and the expected growth of our economy. So this will all be driven by the budget that has already been laid for. That's the start. Once we get to see the government spending, most likely, you guys will follow. Diba? Parang ngayon, we're just doubting that the government isn't spending enough. So it's just like a car, mahina yung battery, it just needs a nudge. Then tatakbo na yung economy. Okay? So this is my last slide. Thank you and good afternoon.
Thank you, Jonas, for that very informative presentation. In the interest of time, I think we can only accommodate 2 to 3 questions. We normally end at 2, so we're given about 5 minutes to extend. Okay, who would like to ask the first question? Go straight to the point, please. Any question from the audience? Wala nang gusto magtanong? Yes, sir. Tanong? Questions?
Why don't you prompt Eddie up? Eddie. Eddie has only something to say.
President Eddie, question? May question daw po ba kayo? Okay.
Yes. You mentioned that our economy is based on consumption from government spending. The question is, at the rate the government is spending, at the rate the budget is growing, and at the rate the government is borrowing and borrowing, can that be sustained?
The borrowing can be sustained, not the income. But eventually, I think there are a few things to think about. Look at it from a perspective of good debt and bad debt. Growing because we want to invest in infrastructure will attract investments. Okay, the challenge really is trying to make sure that the government spending goes really to that infrastructure spending. So I think that's the key. If we talk about debt to GDP numbers, the Philippines is one of the lowest in the region at 63%. Okay? The problem is other countries like the US and the rest are over 100%. So imagine the Philippine economy to produce 1 peso income only needs to borrow 60 centavos. Unlike other countries, they need to spend more than $3 to make $1. That's the US. So we have the capacity to grow. Compared to the growth rates of these developed economies like China, US, Japan, that are only growing in low single digit, meaning 1 to 3%. We're growing at an average of 5 to 6%. And that's where a lot of potential needs to be unlocked in the Philippines. The only problem is we're so worried about what happened to us before. Na the debt might go out of hand. Yes, for me, it's a risk. But right now, with the ease of paying taxes, this should encourage people to, monetize and pay their taxes well, because now they made it a bit more efficient. So hopefully that should spur tax efficiency, and as they go more digital, that would make it more easy for most of us, and especially those in business, so that the tax becomes more seamless. So hopefully that should be enough to be able to pay for those borrowings that we have. Yun lang, we need to borrow to ensure that we sustain at least 5% of infrastructure spending. Okay? I recall in the early 1990s, we wanted to be ahead of Vietnam. Now we're already behind Bangladesh. Diba? So the challenge is we need to get our act together to ensure that growth really becomes sustainable above 6%.
All right. PP, Tito. PP Tito.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Ravelas. My worry is inflation. I think in the business sector, are worried that the consumption projection may not be sustained because of inflation. As you know very well, the salary levels are not enough to make both ends meet. So how do you think can this can this be abated, under this regime? You mentioned infrastructure. That's very clear. That's why all the conglomerates are now just going infrastructure. They're not expanding their plants, they're expanding their product lines, they're expanding in infrastructure because they know government is the only big business in town right now. Even property development. You mentioned that today the vacancy rates. Rick is here. He's a real estate man. We can feel it. In the condominium business, sales have really slowed down. And if developers are showing profits now, this is a product of past sales being recognized equally over the years of the installment payment schemes. So to me, inflation is really the big worry.
Yes, I tend to agree with you. My presentation highlighted those fears. Now, addressing inflation comes two ways. There is a monetary and non-monetary. Very simple. Right now, the best way to address our situation is really using the monetary because that's the fastest way. But it does not address inflation per se. We need to improve productivity. If we look at how rice as a commodity at this point in time, the price of rice from a production level has increased from what used to be the 15 to 20 pesos on fresh palay is now between 23 to 30 pesos. Now, if we including toll charges and the other things, that will translate to the present 50 pesos. That is actually good for farmers. The problem is it's too high for consumers to sustain that prices. We want to bring it down to a level that is between 18 to 20 pesos. But we need to improve productivity. So government is challenged to try to fast track this thing. The problem is it takes time. Okay? You need to understand Filipino gaya-gaya. We need to make sure that we're able to have food security and ensuring certain areas to just produce, let's say, rice. Not everybody to produce rice. There's one movie that you should watch. It's a Sesame Street, What the King Wants. We need to ensure that certain regions will only produce certain types for their area so that it will be ample for everybody. But if we only just all produce rice, that becomes a problem. But creating that plan takes time. The short way of doing it is importation. That's the challenge. So if you were the trader, you don't import so much. Why? Prices will not be in your favor. Diba? So this is where we're all challenged. That's why I'm hopeful that with the new people in DA, they're able to address the realities of our production. In fact, based on my sources, is that the fear is a physical shortage by June if El Nino becomes goes worse.
All right. Thank you again.
There's one
Oh.
more question.
One more question? Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate your views on the economy. I think what, however, was not taken up are the leakages on the Philippine economy, which, of course, I'm referring to the rate of corruption in this economy, and not to speak of the Maharlika Fund. Of course, there are other risks like China and so forth. And I'd like to have your views on this. Thank you.
Okay. So first, China. I think the three sectors that will benefit in our economy is ATM, agriculture, tourism, manufacturing. The problem is tourism will not improve unless we have China. Diba? Tayo, we're one of the countries na pinakamaraming passport yung citizen. In China, it's between 1 to 3% of people have passports. Dito, I think close to 60-70% of our population may passport. So if this Chinese tourist doesn't come, that's a problem. The recovery will not be fast. Okay? The second, if we talk about Maharlika, it's a two-edged sword. One of the things that people should realize is that the first project, people should feel it so that they really need. The problem with Maharlika Fund is that it's a national development fund. it will take 5 to 7 years for the gestation period to be able to maximize the potential growth. So in the first 5 to 7 years, wala ka talagang makukuha dyan. The value is you sell that maybe on years 9 to 10 or as much as 15 years to be able to maximize. And they're expected to invest in what? Agriculture, urbanism, tourism infrastructure, and eventually housing. And then to a certain extent, power. So we're not going to feel this as fast. That's the problem. So there are a lot of questions. On the corruption side, it takes two to tango. Diba? If there was a call for moderate the grid, diba? Ngayon, ang problema lang, it's really trying to look at it from the LGU level. How do you fix the SOP? Diba? Kasi mas grabe na ngayon sa LGU, nandun na, wala na sa Congress. So, it's really trying to, probably from the private sector, there are good LGUs and there are not so good LGUs. What we need is to create a blueprint of this, how to do business with LGUs so that you minimize those SOPs. Diba? Meron mga ginagawang seminars for LGUs on trying to do in doing business, but there are very few who attend. Okay? So that's a challenge. The other one, and that addresses inflation, is ESG. Right? In other countries, they've suspended it already. Tayo, we're trying to implement a set of ideas, but it's immediate compliance. We need to be able to extend it in such a way that maybe 10 years from now to comply. Because if we were to all comply with ESG, that will be inflation. Diba? Because when you talk about ESG, you talk about stakeholders. That means everybody. We all feel good. Yes. But at what cost? Diba? At this point in time, we need to talk to government and say, we're willing to do this, but over a period of time. Because of the rising prices, if we do this now, this will be the impact to inflation. Diba? So these are things that we need to look into. They're nice. They're part of good governance. But the practicality of doing it at this point in time, as we really face the challenges. In fact, if I were to describe the situation, this could be in the early 1980s.
Okay. Well, unfortunately, we've run out of time. So thank you again, Jonas, for the very informative, insightful presentation and for kindly answering our questions. Now, before we adjourn, let's request our president to please give our token of appreciation to our guest speaker, Mr. Jonas.
Let me just sort of thank first Jonas for I think a very sober, down-to-earth type of a view of what's facing us as compared to other forecasters who tend to talk in relatively esoteric terms. I think Jonas has given us more, as I said, practical, hands-on, things that you can understand. He hasn't really quite given us direct responses to some of, because we have businessmen here. We've got manufacturers who support other companies. We've got a big real estate guy who's been wanting him to, Rick Santos, to ask a question because he deals with a lot of foreign investors. I would have wanted to ask him whether in fact he sees the same thing, whether foreign investors are sort of slowing down. So in other words, each of us here have, I guess, heard certain snippets of what could hopefully guide your business directions. No? So with that, I'd like to thank you again, Jonas, for spending time with us and give you a small token of our appreciation, which is one. This is a plaque. It shows you the silver thing is, that's in the one of those reef buds. It's planted under the sea. Talking about ESG. Okay, and this one, of course, might bore you, but that's our history for the past 55 years. And finally, here's a bottle of wine to enjoy it. Again, maraming salamat, Jonas. Huh? Okay. Salamat, salamat. Anybody else who would like to? Yeah? Okay.
Let's proceed to the adjournment, starting with TGP Bing Matota, followed by TGP Joe Sarmiento, and then TGP Alex Lopez.
Okay, on behalf of Rotary Club Makati, I'd like to adjourn this meeting.
On behalf of the Rotary Club of Makati Dasmariñas, I adjourn this meeting.
On behalf of the Rotary Club Makati of Cebu, I call this meeting adjourned.
Raffle pa po pala.
May
We have
raffle pa,
two raffle tickets.
Presence required.
Two gift certificates pala. One raffle.
I know.
One GC. All right. Apologies. One gift certificate only. Correction. And the winner is pangalan? Okay.
Sorry.
Wala na si BP Tony. One more. Draw.
Sino mo mag-draw? Okay.
Mr. Tony Boy. Wala na.
This only for the members ba? Okay, sorry. Pang members lang pala. So for the few members who are still here, well, and good luck. Okay. Anybody else? Who's that? He was here earlier. Reggie.
Reggie. You're the winner of one GC.
Isa lang ba? Good for two, good for one to. Oh, good for two naman ko talaga. Okay. Anything else? That's it?
That's it. All right.
Okay,
Thank you
maraming
so much.
salamat everybody. Bye-bye.
Dito sir, dito.
Sige, I'll go to the restroom first. I think basic commodities.
Ito tayo.
Um,